I feel like every week of TWR comes back to one thing lately, and that is Battlefield versus Call of Duty.
Bro, it's not even a competition anymore.
You might actually be right,
like,
in
dude,
more ways.
They're getting curb stomped, beat down, kicked in the face, bent over the barrel, and showing the 50 states.
I don't know if you can say it. Okay, all right. Battlefield won, and Battlefield seemingly won by a long shot as numbers skyrocketed in their open beta. At the same time, when Season 5 launching for Black Ops 6, the numbers just dwindled. However, here's the thing. Battlefield has some lofty goals of reaching 100 million players. Well, just this week, Red Dead Redemption 2 hit the milestone of selling 77 million copies, not as many as Battlefield wants, but that's making it the 6th most sold video game ever. Now, just to be clear, Battlefield is going to be doing the entire free-to-play thing and all of that. So, of course, it's going to be able to get more players, but still, 100 million is an incredibly lofty goal. But after this week, I'm thinking they might actually be onto something. Speaking of being onto something though, Peak. If you didn't play it, it was kind of like an indie game that came out this year. It's been ripped off. Seemingly every game's been ripped off lately. Horizon Zero Dawn, Pokemon with Pal World. Now Peak, a recent indie game, got knocked off by a game called Cliff, but they snapped back saying, we'd rather you pirate our game than play that microtransaction riddled crap. And I know, that's why you all come here, for the video game beef, the video game tea, or more specifically, the video game news. Welcome to the Weekly Reload. We're gonna start out this week with something you probably didn't see coming. Bioshock 4. Now you may be thinking, they're making a Bioshock 4? Fair response. The truth of the matter is, they have been making Bioshock 4 since like 2014, and specifically a company by the name of Cloud Chamber, underneath the publisher of 2K, was working on this. And well, this week it became time for 2K's executives to come in, check out the game, see what they're working on, and Bloomberg, specifically Jason Schreier, reported they were not happy, to the point where 2K openly spoke about firing Cloud Chamber's director, and after doing that, reappointing someone new, and specifically stating that they were worried because the narrative direction that Cloud Chamber was taking wasn't right, and that they're quite literally threatening the studio to pick up the slack, or else there could be massive layoffs. So clearly things weren't going well there. They also said that it's in the right direction, just the narrative wasn't. Needless to say, I think we're still years and years away from another Bioshock. Now, we're not years away from GTA 6. In fact, we are counting down on next year. But here's the question. With the recent announcement that Xbox and EA are not going to be raising their games to $80, what happened with that rumor of GTA 6 going up to $100 potentially? Well, recently there was an interview specifically asking exactly about that, and they completely dodged the answer, essentially stating they will charge what they think is fair. They will always try to provide above and beyond what you pay for, and let's be honest, Rockstar Games always does that. That's why we saw Red Dead Redemption 2 earlier selling 77 million copies. But it lends to the question, what about other studios? If all of a sudden Rockstar is indeed raising their prices, is that going to be the sneeze that set off the avalanche of all video games doing the same thing? Well, the game that is not doing that, Battlefield 6, they officially announced that they will not be charging $80, but do you know what they are doing? Taking the first-person shooter genre by storm. Now, it's interesting because the head guy behind all of this Battlefield is Vince Zampella. He is the guy that made Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, then went on to Respawn Entertainment. He has basically made every big first-person shooter ever, and it appears as though he has once again knocked it out of the park with Battlefield 6. Now, something I wanted to focus on a little bit more with this is not necessarily the gameplay, because if you've played the beta, you would know the guns feel great, the game looks great, the game sounds great, everyone's having a great time, but specifically the marketing. Recently, it hit over 800,000 viewers on Twitch, crushing almost every single Call of Duty game ever. Now, one thing that they did with the beta this year, that other games have not, like Call of Duty, is if you just watched someone stream for 30 minutes, it would give you a beta code. And yes, they were somewhat delayed because so many people were getting them, but it immediately boosted the viewership like crazy to levels Call of Duty hasn't seen before. And instead of doing, you have to pre-order the game to get the beta early, they did something new, and clearly it worked. But meanwhile, all the other things that they have done, even the recent event with all of the streamers there, seemingly copying Call of Duty's Call of Duty Next, they're just seemingly taking it and saying, anything you can do, I can do better. And with that goal of 100 million players, is that even possible? I don't know, but it seems like they have just hit every mark, done absolutely everything right. Meanwhile, Call of Duty is absolutely floundering. And what I mean by that is, you know how I mentioned Battlefield hitting over 800,000 viewers on Twitch? You know who didn't do that this week? Call of Duty. In fact, they were at 13,000 players at the same time Battlefield was at that amount. And yeah, it really didn't get any better from that.
No, it did not get better. In fact, it got a million times worse for COD, because not only were they getting smoked with Twitch viewership, the Battlefield 6 beta then went and beat Call of Duty's all-time player count record on Steam. So across every single Call of Duty title that's been released on Steam, their highest player count is 491,670 players, while Battlefield 6's beta has well over 500k players. This is the beta. This isn't even a full release. This is a beta. Like, obviously this is just Steam, so it's worth considering that, you know, a lot of Call of Duty players play on console, and Battlefield has always been like a historically well supported PC game. But nonetheless, a beta beating your all-time record across all of your titles on any platform is insane. And then it got even worse after that. So not only were they getting destroyed on Twitch, not only were they getting destroyed on Steam, then the ex-Blizzard president, Mike Ibata, came out and said that Battlefield 6 will stump Black Ops 7 and change COD for the better, saying that COD has gone downhill for years and luckily Battlefield will force them to change. And yeah, maybe he's right. Maybe this is kind of like the kick up the arse that Call of Duty needs to actually make some meaningful changes. And ultimately, a lot of players that are playing the Battlefield 6 beta right now are Call of Duty players. All the streamers that you see on Twitch right now streaming the Battlefield 6 beta, a lot of them are mainly Call of Duty streamers. And there was actually some Call of Duty players that were in playing the Battlefield 6 beta, and they found this Easter egg in the game, which basically was Battlefield poking a bit of fun at Call of Duty. Obviously that's a joke, but you know, kind of true. So the question for Call of Duty now is,
what is going to happen next? Even with big announcements coming like this week, like for example, Alina Siegman, the person who was behind a lot of the big Easter egg songs from old Zombies games, making a return with this Zombies game, with the Season 5 Zombies map, the final Zombies map for Black Ops 6 at that, it still couldn't boost the player numbers. And honestly, you have me asking many more questions, because in a leak that came out with the Season 5 update, there was data mined files for some of the characters who are going to be pre-order bonuses for Black Ops 7. It includes Harper, a character from Black Ops 2, Karma, a character from Black Ops 2, Ted, of course, from Transit, as well as the robot, an older version of the experimental war robot from Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. Now, all of these looking quite the opposite from what Battlefield 6 is doing, going futuristic. Now, here's the question that I have for Call of Duty. If you're going to be going this futuristic with your game, why not fully commit? Why not bring in the wall running? Why not bring in the boost jumpings? Even if your game is already going to flop, you might as well royally flop if you're going to do it. Now, as far as games coming out this week, we didn't really have too much crazy, but we did have one game, Mafia: The Old Country. Now, they went a different direction with Mafia: The Old Country. They went more so narrative driven, not so much open world. The thing that I keep comparing it to is maybe like an Uncharted 4 or something like that, coming in at around a 13 total hours of playtime. It's not the longest game, but because of that, they lowered the price lower than your normal $60 or $70 game that you see nowadays. Now, because of this, the ratings came in pretty much what you'd expect, at around a 77 on OpenCritic. I've seen other reviews around 75%. It's kind of average or slightly above average, telling a very good story, having fantastic voice actors do it at that. As far as games coming out this week, we have one game and one game alone, Madden 2026, and really there is not much I can say for this one. It's another Madden game. Millions of people are going to buy it, and it's pretty much going to be exactly the same as Madden 2025. In other words, it has been a very, very good week for EA. And yes, this has been a relatively short episode of the Weekly Reload. Not too much happened this week aside from Battlefield 6 taking the world by storm. And
speaking of which,
yeah,
we should go play it.
Brain, you're right.
We're going to play Battlefield.
I'm going to play more Battlefield 6. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, notifications. You guys are the best. Thank you for supporting the channel. And until next time, peace.